This is a situation where the city owns the property, but has no rights to it for the next 46 years. This is a situation where Bayside has the rights to it for the next 46 years, but does not have the right to approve the redevelopment. Bayside and I have executed a sublease agreement subject to this commission's approval and ultimately to the approval of the voters. But the bottom line is the choice today is ultimately, do we leave one of the finest pieces of property in Miami as an asphalt surface parking place, or do we create a game-changing, world-class attraction that creates tens of thousands of jobs, and as I will describe later, produces over the course of the lease term over $1 billion, that's a B, $1 billion in income for the city of Miami. It's a building like no other. It's designed to withstand wind speeds of up to 186 miles an hour. It's 1,000 feet high. It will be the tallest building in the state of Florida. It will be the tallest building on the eastern seaboard of the United States, south of New York. We will be driving 130 piles, 150 feet deep. As I tell the Chinese when I'm over there raising money, where our pilings are approaching China. 100,000 cubic yards of concrete. That's the equivalent of a 4-foot wide sidewalk from Miami to Tallahassee. You all know better than anybody else what's going on in Miami. The growth is dazzling. The prospects are amazing. Skyrise, based on our consultants' reports, are predicting 3.2 million annual visitors. Approximately 2.8 of those will be paying visitors. The others will be visiting restaurants and ballrooms, et cetera, and will not be charged an admission fee. Pier Park. This is our vision of what now is a parking lot will look like after we convert it into what we call Pier Park. The bay walk will be continued at our expense around the entire pier. The things that you see here are actually a cascading amphitheater. This is a rendering of what Pier Park will look like, what the walk along Miami's waterfront will look like after we complete our project. This is the base of the tower, and everything you see here is public. There's a public amphitheater, the public bay walk going around it. You can see there is a circular drive that will allow people to valet, drop off their vehicles, and to enter Skyrise. This is the view. This is the artist's conceptual rendering of the upper premium observation deck. It looks a little bit like a ship, although you will be able to see this view. This is a shot from a helicopter of what 1,000 feet looks like. We have a fabulous city, and people are going to be pleased to enjoy it. The view will extend for 40 miles. Will take us almost to Boca Raton, well into the Everglades, almost to Bimini, and down into the Keys. But this is not merely 3 observation decks and a fine dining restaurant and a ballroom and a nightclub. It's also an entertainment facility that will help us attract and keep tourists in town. And we have some exceptional opportunities. Again, I have visited a dozen towers all around the world. There is not one that comes close to surpassing what we believe we will have the opportunity to offer to Miami and to its residents. This is the upper observation deck. Again, it's conceptual at this stage. These are the main observation decks. This is indoor and outdoor, and people will be able to walk around the perimeter indoors and then extend up outdoors to enjoy Miami's fabulous views. So in addition to the visiting opportunities, and there will be an interactive exhibit center in the pedestal, which will include interactive exhibits with original artifacts and props from movies such as Star Wars, Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, that will be rotated on a periodic basis. We have 3 major attractions that the city and its visitors will have the opportunity to enjoy. We have Sky Plunge, which is a controlled bungee jump, where people, and I'm taking reservations now if anybody's interested, people will have the opportunity to jump inside of the building from a height of 570 feet, reaching speeds as high as 55 miles an hour and landing in the middle of an outdoor cafe facing the beautiful bay and the beautiful Miami Marina. And if that isn't enough, notice they're smiling. And they'll come back. Any takers, reservations? Then we have the Skyrise drop, and you can see, if you can follow the ride going up the north face of the building with views looking north over Biscayne Bay. The 650-foot drop will be the tallest or longest in the entire world. It will seat 12 passengers, and it will reach or exceed speeds of 100 miles an hour on the way down. These are actual videos of people who are riding the rides made by the same manufacturer who we're negotiating with. Again, notice they're all smiling. I would not be smiling. Today, this is the world's tallest. We will exceed it by more than 100 feet, by more than 200 feet, and by at least 10 miles an hour. Skyrise Theater, the most popular ride at Epcot and at Disney World, is a ride called Soarin'. We have engaged the manufacturer of Soarin' to bring Soarin' to the tower. Soarin' is a 72-seat, 6-minute-long hang gliding experience. If you go to Epcot, believe it or not, Disney showcases a film of California and has people flying through the California landscape under the Golden Gate Bridge. We will be producing a Miami film. We will highlight the best there is about Miami and Dade County at a cost of several $1 million for the people who are visiting our flying theater to enjoy. Here you're looking at what I hope is an Everglades shot. This is what the flying theater looks like. As you dive beneath the reef, you'll be splashed. As you fly over the bay or the ocean, you're going to see sailfish leaping. As you fly over the beaches, you'll see what you see at the beaches. Miami has so much to showcase. The most difficult portion of the film will probably be how do we choose what to feature, but I can assure you that with the assistance of the Chamber and the Visitors and Convention Bureau and the DDA and the Beacon Council, we're going to produce a first-class film. So based on our projections, Skyrise Miami will be the 5th largest tourist attraction in Florida. There are no comparable attractions in South Florida. These are your largest attractions. You've got the Metro Zoo with 850,000 visitors. If you'll pay attention to the little check mark under each of the attractions, each of our major attractions, those were all built with public financial support. Skyrise Miami is not looking for one nickel, not one penny of City of Miami support. If you take all of the attractions, all of the major attractions in Miami, and you stack them on top of each other, this is what it looks like next to Skyrise. I said it will be a game-changing opportunity for the City of Miami. It's been termed Miami's Eiffel Tower. There are observation towers that are being built all over the world, and they're successful, and they're a proven concept. And we visited a number of them. There are 55 million annual visitors visiting 41 towers in 21 countries over 5 continents. These towers have various shapes. They all go up to a point because it's a lot less expensive to design them and to build them. From a wind load perspective, you'll notice that Skyrise is not the tallest in the world, but you'll notice that it's the most distinctive in terms of its iconic design. These are some of the more recent major towers. The Tokyo Skytree just opened a year ago to 6.5 million visitors. We visited it. It's nothing compared to what we're proposing for Miami. More iconic. Yeah, you can recognize the city that most of these are located in just by looking at the design. You will recognize Miami merely by looking at the design. This is a page out of the Downtown Development Authority's goals and objectives. One of the specific goals was to create an iconic waterfront element. They wanted it at Flagler Street and Biscayne Bay, but I'm guessing Commissioner Carroyo wouldn't want to see it in Bayfront Park. So we've located it right next door. And what did they use as an example? They used the Eiffel Tower. Well, we're going to go with Miami's Eiffel Tower, and it's a goal of the DDA, and it's been shared by the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce. So these are images that you will all recognize. You will come to recognize Miami by seeing Skyrise. You recognize the Eiffel Tower, you recognize the Statue of Liberty, the Washington Monument. We're talking about creating additional and branding for the city of Miami and for Miami as a community. We're going to compete for that global recognition, and we're going to win. What's the Eiffel Tower worth to Paris? According to one study, $576 billion. Aside from the beauty, aside from the fact that we're providing an attraction like no other in South Florida, aside from the fact that we're occupying a 1.85-acre surface parking lot in the middle of a marketplace environment that's going to be vastly improved as a result of this project, Skyrise Miami is an enormous economic engine for the city of Miami. Washington Economic Group. Skyrise will be a game-changing asset of the entertainment and visitor industry. Its presence will enhance the state and Miami-Dade County's global brand as a top leisure industry. Here are the numbers. And by the way, these numbers were reviewed by the Beacon Council's economists. They were vetted by them, and I will let Steve Beatis from the Beacon Council address these numbers. Direct jobs. Let's just talk about direct jobs, because there are additional induced and indirect jobs. Direct jobs during construction, 3,200 jobs. This is arguably one of the biggest public works project without a public price tag in the history of Dade County. It will produce total economic impact on just on the direct jobs of $418 million. Total impacts over $650 million. Now let's go to operation. Direct jobs, 10,222 jobs. If you add the indirect and induced, the total impacts are over 13,000 jobs annually. The labor income to the community, $433 million. The addition to the GDP, and this is only in the city, $656 million. Total economic impact has been estimated at over $1 billion. Okay, benefits to the city, other benefits. We're paying, and this is just Skyrise, we're paying $1,059,082, which is the full amount of the appraised value, as a base rent with an annual CPI increase subject to a 3% cap. Plus, we agreed to have the property reappraised every 10 years and to allow a second adjustment to the rent subject to a 10% cap. We're paying 6% of the gross parking revenues for the spaces located underneath the tower, which we're building at our expense. The city's portion of the real estate taxes on tower improvements are estimated starting at $1.4 million, and you will see a slide or a graph showing the projected income or new revenues for the city, and those numbers are based on a 1% escalation of that $1.4 million. Additional surcharge revenues as well. You've got the 5,000 jobs during construction. We expect to have to hire 900 people at Skyrise. That will make us probably the largest private employer within the city of Miami. I'm guessing that we will be a top 20 employer in Dade County. The total annual economic impact during operations, I mentioned, was over $1 billion. We expect or estimate $5 million in permit and building fees up front. We've agreed to a transfer fee upon sale or transfer, 3% of the gross selling price for the first five years, 2% years 6 through 10, and 1.5% thereafter. And I'm ready to make the commitment that I will not move this tower to another city. We're providing the city 5,400 square feet of marina and fire department substation space, rent fee for the entire lease term. At the end of this lease, this belongs to the city of Miami. We fully reimburse the city for any revenues lost during the construction period. We've staged the construction so that we can keep the marina operational, and there will be millions of dollars of free marketing for the city because we have a very substantial marketing budget, and this is at zero investment by the city of Miami. Grove Bay, you're building them a parking garage. You have numerous projects where Parrot Jungle, the city's helped out. We're not asking the city for a nickel. And I might add, parenthetically, city hasn't offered. Okay, this is just Skyrise. Okay, if you look at the lower level, this is the dark blue. That's the property taxes we're projecting with the 1% annual increase. Just our portion, just based on the improvements. In the green, it's the tower rent escalating over a period of time. We took a very conservative escalation estimate there. And then you have the percentage rent we're projecting with conservative escalation, I believe, of 2% on our operating revenue projections. And over the 96-year period, it's a 96-year period because it's going to take us over 3 years to build it, assuming there are no hurricanes or glitches or lawsuits. The total that Skyrise alone will generate out of that asphalt surface parking lot of 89 spaces is $781.5 million. Now let's add Bayside to the equation. Okay, we've made the same projections with Bayside, combined it with the Skyrise income. The benefit to the city, the payments we project rationally, reasonably, to the city of Miami over the 99-year lease term is $1.78 billion. That is with a B, $1.78 billion. Now, I'm going to add one other feature to this. Let us assume you do not approve this today, and I'm going to make it really clear. I had intended to be under construction by now. There was a decision made by the city attorney that subjected this project to a referendum, and while I'm very happy to take it to the voters, we have been significantly delayed. We've got people, we've got the superintendent who built the World Trade Center on payroll right now. We want the best of the best building this project. I can't promise you that I can keep this together, and I can't promise this community this project if I have to wait in November for a green light to go forward. And then you can have your original minority participation agreement. You can have your income on the pier from the existing 89 parking spaces, and the city will have lost a monumental, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We have FAA considerations in terms of the approved type. And I'm going to draw one more line. This is what the pier income looks like if you fail to approve this. Look at the red line. Look at the difference between, and yes, it is only 46 years because the city at the end of the term will take it back, and you can build a hotel there, you can build residences there. You're probably going to have to go back to the voters who probably don't want to see a hotel or residences and probably want to see entertainment and a project of this nature there, but it may be too late. The difference just on the skyrise revenue on the 96 years between the pier income from the parking and what we respectfully suggest is likely is $717 million to the city, or an average on an annual basis of almost $7.5 million. And this isn't something that we're talking about. We're not talking about a deadbeat developer, and we're not talking about a scenario where we're talking way off in the future. All right, we've driven piles, and hopefully they're sufficient to preserve our FAA permit. But if the voters approve this on August 26, we will be in the ground in October. Architectonica is here. We have made significant progress on construction drawings. We will be ready to go in October 2014 and start 1 year's worth of extensive foundation work on this project, utility relocation and marina relocation. And with some luck, we're open for Christmas 2017. We've got an incomparable group of firms that are involved in this project. These are just some of the buildings. Coastal Tishman representatives are here today. These are just some of the buildings that they're involved in. Our structural engineers have designed a tower for the Saudis. It's going to be 1 kilometer high, which will be by far the tallest building in the world. So we've got the best of the best lined up to give Miami the best in the entire world. We've got very serious, widespread community support. I'm going to, with your indulgence, invite some of the individuals who are here from some of our community organizations who are listed in here as supporting it. You've heard from Mr. Talbot, who visited Convention Bureau. Mr. Johnson, would you like to say anything? Barry Johnson, the president of the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce.
I understand. Let me see. I have a long list of